you'd like to start building web apps and tools with Claude Code, but it kind of feels daunting. You've been using Claude in the browser until now, but you kind of feel limited. So this video is going to be for you. We're going to do a small project in Claude Code. We're going to build this voice recorder and transcriber application that can also help you when using Claude Code. I'm also going to show you all of the tips and tricks, different things like permissions, different commands that are important, and you will basically learn while following me along. You can build this application. It doesn't cost anything. The only thing you need is a Claude Code or just a Claude subscription. That is what we're going to be building today. All right. If I click on stop, it recorded what I said and automatically transcribed that. And I must say, when I'm prompting in Claude, this is extremely useful because I can just brain dump all of my ideas into the input field, and I don't have to be typing everything down. All right, so let's say you've only been using Claude in the browser until now. You never used the terminal view. This is basically the terminal. It works on the Mac, on Windows. Basically, you've got this black background and white text, a bit like hacker mode. And yeah, so if you've never used it, pretty easy to use. On the Mac, you'll be doing command space and searching for the terminal. On Windows, you would actually look for PowerShell, and this is what it would look like when you actually start PowerShell. Now, for Mac and Windows, there are a little bit of differences. The way that you want to install it on Mac is basically you go here to Claude Code, and then you've got the option to install it. So you can just click here on the terminal, and you're going to have all the information on how to install it in the terminal. Now for Windows, I recommend that you use the Windows subsystem Linux VSL. Pretty simple. You can actually just copy this into PowerShell and then run it. And then when you've got VSL open, you can just do the same thing here as if you'd be installing it for Linux. You can actually get the command. Now, one thing, if you're really stuck in this step, what I recommend that you do is you just go here to Claude and just say, hey, I would actually like to install Claude Code on my Windows with VSL. Can you actually help me? So the transcription here was not that great, but he's probably going to understand what I mean. And then he's going to give me some information on how to install it on Windows. All right, so here it will give, oh, you can actually use on Windows without VSL, that's true. But if you want added security and much higher performance boost, I recommend using VSL. But with that out of the way, Claude can actually walk you through all of these steps. Then as soon as you're in Claude, it will actually look like this. I've created a pretty cool, or I think it's pretty cool, install script that gets all of the permissions that I'm using so that you're not babysitting through your sessions and always having to accept Claude to read different files, to write different files. It basically looks something like this. It's probably going to be another command than this. I've got it on GitHub. I'll link it down below. And it's got a few skills that I'm using, and these skills, you don't really have to know everything that they do right now, but it will be some skills that I'm going to be sharing in my future videos. But here basically the Vibe to Prod installer, and it's going to be on my GitHub. And yeah, but you can basically install the skills, the different permissions. You can maybe just start with the permissions. The permissions is probably one of the most useful things, so that when you've got longer projects, you can like let Claude run for maybe like an hour or 2 hours without always having to accept the permissions. All right, so let's get started with our small project. when I start a new project, I'm just going to show you how I'm actually entering into Claude from PowerShell. So just do WSL, and I'm going to make this here a bit bigger, and then go into Claude. And before we start with the project, I'm just going to show a few things that are pretty useful, and also pretty cool news. Fable 5 is back, and we might actually be using Fable 5 for this, just for fun. So the first thing that I'm going to show is actually the slash model. So basically you can choose which model you use, and now it's probably going to be overkill, but we'll use Fable for the orchestration part of this small project. So we're just going to change the model, and like Opus or Fable, they're pretty good for orchestration. When you want to write code, you probably want to use Sonnet. Now what you can also change is the effort level, and you can put it on different levels. So for most of the things I have it on medium. If it's more complex projects with a lot of business logic or some algorithms, then I'll probably go on X high, but now medium is fine. Just if you want to be token efficient and the project isn't too complicated, just stay on low or medium. You will actually get a lot more out of your sessions. All right, so let's keep that on medium. Now, I actually also created a prompt for this VoicePad, but if you're not really sure how to start, you can just start brainstorming and start explaining what you want to do. So instead of, basically here is what I've got. This is the prompt I've got. I'm going to paste it down below if you want to use it. I've never built a Python app or used the Groq Whisper API. The Groq Whisper API is what we're going to be using in order to transcribe voice to text. And then here you can say you're on Windows, and then you build me a small voice to clipboard desktop tool and walk me through everything I need to get it running from zero. Don't assume anything is installed. So yeah, that's pretty useful. It's also going to walk you through how to get the API key, where to go. I'm going to show you the website where you can get that as well. So I'm just going to paste that prompt, and then let's see. I'm also going to give it a different name and tell it to do it in a different folder so it doesn't actually impact the version that we already have now. So I'm going to paste this and say get the Groq API key from VoicePad project, and also create a new folder. This is a new version. I'm going to also call it something different, like WinVoCode, terrible name. Make it a lot more like Winamp. All right, so create a spec. Now, while this is actually running, I'm just going to show you Groq, console.groq.com. Here you can actually you sign up and you can get a free API key to the Groq Whisper model. And I must say, I've been using this for a lot. I've been using this to transcribe YouTube videos for different skills. I've been using this in order to use my VoicePad, and I've actually never run into the limits. So this is really useful, and I highly recommend if you want to start working with voice transcription. It's similar to WhisperFlow, which is paid, but you can build this in like a few minutes, which is pretty cool. All right, so it's already looking here what is installed. I'll check your system. I've probably got everything installed. In your case, it would actually start installing and running different Python libraries. It might even have to install Python if you've never used Python before. So a few steps might be longer, but if you get stuck, just ask Claude to troubleshoot. That's what it's there for. So while this is actually running, I want to show you another really important command. But I'm actually going to only run it after this is done because it doesn't run at the same time. One command that does run at the same time, and that is really useful if you want to ask some questions about the current tasks that are being done without interrupting everything. You can just use by the way, and you can say, by the way, what are you doing? And it's actually going to answer your question. You can ask like small questions about different things you're not sure without interrupting anything that is happening in this session. So yeah, here it says building your new VoiceCode, the Winamp-styled successor to VoicePad, and some more information. So by the way, pretty useful, especially if you've got sub-agents running for quite a long time and you're not really sure if they crashed, use by the way. All right, so it's already starting to write the code, which is pretty cool. This is a very simple project to build. Also something that Claude Code doesn't have any issues building. So I think it's a perfect project to start with, and also really useful, since the more you use Claude Code, the more you realize that you waste quite a lot of time when you just type the prompts, right? So everything is built and verified. Here's the state of your system and how to run it. This all looks pretty good. So before I actually continue, what I want to show you is, for example, context. I think this is really important to know. Context is in your session. The more you chat and you get output from Claude, the more the context gets filled up. It also gets filled up by system prompts, different agents that I use, memory files, different skills, and so on. And me personally, even though I know there's no real documentation around it, I feel like the smartest that the models are is during the first 30%. So yeah, I always monitor this a bit, and then when it starts getting close to 30%, I actually start a new session and throw this session away. What you can also do is, while you're at it, you can also look at usage, and then you can see how much is available in the current session, how much you can actually continue working, as well as the current week. I'm on the Claude Code Max plan. It's $100 a month. And it's actually pretty fine for what I'm doing. I do reach the limits quite often, but it's fine. I might upgrade at some point, but at the moment it's fine, right? So now, what Claude sometimes does is it basically just gives you some instructions of what you can do. But what I am going to do is, hey, can you run this? And then turn it into a slash command. I'm gonna, with short name so I can launch fast. So I'm gonna actually close this version of VoicePad. That was basically the first iteration. So I'm actually quite curious on what the next version is gonna look like. Oh, this, I must say, this is pretty cool. I should have led with that. Now let's see if this works. All right, so we created now this new version of VoicePad, Winamp-style, with a very nice dynamic visual interface. I must say I'm actually pretty impressed also by Fable's capabilities. And yeah, like I said, you just need a Claude Code account. You have to follow along and you can build something like this. So if you've been following along, you probably have something very similar. So now I'm just gonna say yes, And then if I paste here, all right, it's working. Perfect. So it's already using the Groq API, and I can use this on a daily basis, and I will be using this on a daily basis when I'm creating my prompts. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, a few things I want to actually share with you before I stop this video is a skill I find really useful, and that is the handoff skill. It's in the preset of skills I shared at the beginning, and basically what this does is it writes a handoff file, and then it actually automatically opens up a new tab. So what you can also do, just to demonstrate, the handoff works in a similar way, but I don't have a task. So the handoff would actually work with a task. So if we've got 1 or 2 tasks here, we can hand off these tasks, but we don't have a task. There's also another one I have, and it's called new session. And it works in the same way. I just want to show you how it works. It runs PowerShell in the background, and it will actually open a new tab here with Claude open automatically. And I think that's actually pretty cool, as you can actually start that also from PowerShell. So when I'm in PowerShell, I can actually do a new session 5, and it would open up 5. And as a last small tip is I can also do resume 5, and it will resume the last 5 sessions. So I hope you found this short, VinCode walkthrough transcriber tool. If you've built it, let me know in the comments down below. I'm really excited to see what other people have built, and yeah, catch you in the next video. I'll catch you in the next video.